What we're talking about is how to build an advisory business as a side hustle that catapults your take-home pay. So for those of you who are new to me, my name is Amanda C. Watts. I'm the founder of the Business Advisor Academy, and this is the leading advisory program here in the UK, and we are fast becoming a global leader. I myself am super passionate about offers, pricing, productizing, systemizing, but completely at the core of everything I do, I'm a numbers person. Now, I'm not an accountant or a bookkeeper, although sometimes I have some great ideas and share those with accountants and bookkeepers. Well, quite often I do. I wasn't great at the numbers. I'm not a finisher. I'm not a completer of things. So that means that balancing the numbers didn't work well for me. I'm a strategist, and that has proved to be very, very successful in the accounting and bookkeeping realm because I do the bits that you guys struggle to do, and I help you to do the bits that I'm good at, and you help me with the bits that I need help with. But I do obsess over a few things. The first is profit, second is cash flow, and third is actually cash. I would say that cash is the number one thing. Cash is king. I like to see plenty of it in my bank account. I'm also very aware of how much belongs to me and how much belongs to the VAT man and how much belongs to HMRC. So what I understand is how to run a secure, sustainable business. Now, I'm known a little bit as a minimalist because I hate anything complicated. I hate a complicated business. I hate a complicated house. I hate a complicated life. And I've taken my passion for minimalism into running a successful business. And that's why I'm such a big believer in advisory, because I find that the traditional accounting firm can be quite complex, whereas when you move into advisory, it can be a lot easier to run. Now, since 2009, I've worked with thousands of business owners, and I discovered that I had made a dangerous assumption. I thought, and I'm not talking about you guys, I'm talking about business owners, I thought most people understood their numbers. Have you ever made that kind of assumption? Let me know in the chat box. Have you ever assumed that your business owners that you work with actually understand the numbers? Because I used to think that if you start a business, you understand numbers. But actually, I very, very quickly realized that was the wrong assumption. And for 5 years, I worked very, very closely with business coaches, not accountants and bookkeepers, with business coaches. They were really confident and very visible online, but the data that they had, the way that they helped businesses run was quite weak. So what happened was they helped business owners make decisions on gut feel rather than the truth of the data. I'm a big data lover. And this started to really frustrate me. And I was helping business coaches grow their business, but actually I wasn't doing any great service to the business owners, and I wasn't doing any great service to the economy. So I made a shift. And I stopped working with business coaches and started helping accounting, bookkeepers, and CFOs step into the business advisor role. People who understand the numbers should be the one leading businesses, which is why I help you with advisory. So if we fast forward several years, my team and I have built a Done With You mentorship program. And this program, we guide accountants, bookkeepers, and CFOs to add an advisory service to their existing practice. And I'll show you how to do this in today's training. So if that's what you would like some help with, you're in the right place. So why have an advisory side hustle? I don't know if you've ever thought about why people buy services. I don't know if you have ever thought, right, I am going to buy butter, or I am going to buy a doctor. I'm going to invest in having a private doctor. Or maybe you're like, oh, I need to go to have the pediatrician, for example. Or maybe I need a lawyer, right? Now, all of these words, if you hear what I'm saying, is the words need. Okay, then what we've got is we want other services. We want to grow our business. We want to invest in having a better life. We want to invest in holidays. We want to invest in having more freedom. We want to invest in getting our time back. Now, sadly, and this is sad, what has happened is when people buy through need and want emotions, the need emotions are all based around compliance, but the want emotions are based around advisory. So many people need compliance, right? Business owners need compliance. They need their tax returns, they need their year end, they need payroll, they need VAT and bookkeeping. Now, when someone buys what they need, they tend to do it either out of fear, anxiety, stress, frustration, and resentment is one that is very, very clear for when someone buys compliance services, because nobody wants to pay VAT, nobody wants to pay their tax, nobody wants to have to pay an accountant or a bookkeeper to get their books right. They need to, and they need to because they have been told by the government that they need to pay their taxes and be compliant, right? So when someone buys from you, those emotions that they're feeling is frustration and resentment, and they don't feel great. But when we move into advisory, that is kind of an emotion that we open ourselves up to. Now, when we want to improve our profit, when we want to increase our pricing, when we do strategic planning, when we move towards freedom, that gets us more into relief and trust and confidence and excitement and loyalty and freedom. And these emotions are emotions that we want to invest in. So compliance is a need and advisory is a want. Now, when someone buys something that they need, I call it the grudge economy. They begrudge paying for it, which is why you're driven down on price. Now, if this wasn't enough, something else has happened. So there are three forces that have exposed the grudge economy, because the grudge economy was around before AI, offshoring, and commoditization. But these forces have exposed the grudge economy, okay? And what they've done is expose the weakness that is sitting underneath the compliance economics. AI on its own would be disruptive, offshoring disruptive, commoditization disruptive, but together they have made the grudge economy impossible to ignore. And this is why we get questioned on price. This is why you get questioned on price. And this is why the traditional accounting firm model isn't great. It's not working, because what happens is everything that's automated, it reduces the hours required, which means that delivery becomes cheaper in the eyes of the buyer. Remember, they need your services. They don't want them. So you're automating, which makes them think, oh, you're going to be even quicker. Then your pricing goes down, which means that you then can't afford good quality team, which means more firms automate and offshore. This means that your costs are then driven down even more, and compliance fees keep on moving down and down and down, which means we need better automation, more AI, more offshoring, more outsourcing, you're more commoditized, and it just goes round and round and round in this circle. Now, the obligation to buy compliance is still there, but people begrudge it. What has changed is clients now have far more choice over who they resent paying. So today, what we're going to talk about is how to build an advisory business as a highly profitable side hustle so that you can get out of the grudge economy and move into a way of working with your clients that will help them move up that client emotion scale. All right. So an advisory side hustle is not a second job. It's a smarter way to use the experience you already have to earn more in less time. Now, one of the things that you guys really struggle with is getting that experience out of your head, getting your knowledge out of your head, and understanding how to articulate it in a way where your value can be seen. So what we need to do is find a way to package, price, and position it. You're not adding hundreds of clients to your roster. That's not what I'm talking about. What we're doing is we're adding a few higher value conversations with clients you either already work with, where we upsell them, or ones who need more than just compliance work from their accountant. So what we focus on, instead of hiring more team or offshoring more or doing more compliance work, we actually help our businesses that we're working with make better decisions. Now, these decisions are about cash and pricing, growth, where they might be leaking money. The great thing about giving advice and helping and supporting people with advice is that you don't need a big team. You don't need to worry about offshoring. You don't need to worry about making sure that you hire a team in-house to talk to people. There's no risky leap into the unknown when you decide to move into advisory. You don't have to invest anything, in fact, okay? You keep your main income, which gives you that cash flow, which gives you the security, which makes you feel safe and secure, and you build a second stream of income that can overtake it, all right? So what we have to do is make sure that the advisory work that we're doing fits around the current role. So we're looking at evenings, lunch breaks, or a few focus sessions a month to enable you to earn the higher revenue with 1, 2, or 3 clients, right? Now, there's a few things that we need to have in place to make sure that it works. The first thing is that we need to make sure that it's productized from day one. So productization is where we take your advisory offering and have it formulated. So you know exactly what you're doing when you're doing it, and you have a framework, outcomes, processes, and a fixed price for your advisory services. So you're not reinventing the wheel every single time. And this is why when we productize it, it's easy to scale from day one, and it increases your take-home pay, not just your workload. Now, when I talk about a side hustle, so many of you think, oh my God, Amanda, are you making me hustle? I'm done with hustling. It's exhausting. I already work 50 or 60 hours a week. And I am not talking about late nights. I'm not talking about chaos. And I'm not saying yes to any particular client. This is the opposite, actually. This is a different kind of side hustle. It's a side hustle without the hustling. It's focused, premium, and designed to grow fast with very few clients. And I'm talking, as I said, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 clients, not 50 extra bookkeeping jobs, which means that then you've got to hire more team. And the real magic of this is it proves to you that you can make very serious money from advice, and not just from putting your hands in the weeds and putting your hands in everybody's business and having to do the work for them. So when you're ready, you're not starting from zero. You're already running the business that you want. You're just doing it part-time. So you can move into full-time advisory if you want to, once you've found your legs. You don't need to quit your day job or rebuild your whole practice. You just keep what you have and add something better on top. That feels very safe and secure. And it also is about you being in control. Now, these are all words that I'm using because these are words that I need to feel. When I'm running a business, I don't want to have to worry about hiring team. I don't want the stress of managing a team. I don't want the stress of having hundreds and hundreds of clients. I don't want the stress of doing something that nobody wants, right? People need compliance, but they don't want it. People want advice to grow their business. If you want growth that feels steady, then we have to look at having this side hustle in a way that isn't about risk and is about control, if that's what you require. It's what I require when I'm growing my business. And that's why I learned this freedom formula that I now share with my accountants and bookkeepers and CFOs. Okay. So side hustle advisory works for a number of reasons. One, you're not choosing between safety and success. 2, you're building the bridge, you're not burning the bridges, which is what happens when you go, oh, right, okay, so I need to be an advisor. Okay, do I stop doing compliance? No, you don't stop doing compliance. What we do is we test the water. We test who might be a good client. We test what might be a signature methodology that actually works with clients. We protect the cash flow and we create the upside so that when you get an advisory client, that money comes to you, because it's not being used to pay your team. It's not being used to prop up the compliance work, because if it is being used to prop up the compliance work, then you need to look at your model for your compliance work, because if that isn't able to prop itself up, is it even an arm of the business that you need to have? Okay. And we need to protect all of our cash flow whilst we create the upside for you as the owner. So side hustle works when it sits alongside what you already do. And as I said, you only need a handful of clients to change your income. When you set up this side hustle, you have it structured to fit inside your existing week. So something I talk a lot about is the 10-hour advisor. And the 10-hour advisor is basically you spend 10 hours a week doing advisory services. You can have it on 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. I'm actually a 10-hour advisor. I'm actually a 6-hour advisor. But I talk to you about being a 10-hour advisor. And I do that on a Tuesday for 2 hours, Wednesday for 2 hours, and a Thursday for 2 hours. I have a Friday off every single week. Sometimes I have a Monday off, and I have the first full week of every month where I'm not giving any advice at all. I'm recuperating and getting my energy back. Something that is very important when you think about being a business advisor is that you have to look after yourself, because you have to bring your A game. When you're a traditional accountant or bookkeeper and you're doing compliance work, you can get away with late nights, or you can get away with burning the midnight oil. Absolutely fine. But when you're an advisor, you need to be awake and on the ball. Okay, this is designed for real life. It's not designed for fantasy schedules. All right. So this is where I have arranged my advisory life around my actual life, my freedom, my need for control, my need for great cash flow. And that's exactly what I teach you guys to do. And it all starts with understanding exactly how this might work. So you have options when it comes to building a side hustle. One is a broken business model. The other leads to freedom. So what we do is we have the monster business, which is what I was talking to you about with your traditional compliance business. So you have hundreds of clients. You have clients paying 1, 2, 3K a year. You need a team. You have really hard tax seasons. You have low profits, 30% or less, and you feel like you're on the hamster wheel all the time. Now, the side hustle advisory practice is actually a productized freedom practice, and it's hybrid with advisory. You have a maximum of 20 clients, and that actually is full time. Once you've got 20 clients, then you really are doing the 10-hour advisor side of things. Clients pay you 1 to 2K a month, so you're 10xing your income per client. You have no team or a tiny team. Really easy tax seasons because you've only got 20 clients, high profits, 70% or more on your profits, because actually you're giving advice and you're asking people questions. You're not having to spend a fortune on tax software, and every new client doesn't cost you a fortune, and you don't have to hire a team, and you don't have to hire premises. You can have a much smaller business, people per head, smaller business, but have much higher revenue and profits. And I talk about the 500-10 model, which is 500K in revenue for becoming a 10-hour advisor. All right. So what an advisory offer really is not about you being the smartest person in the room. You just need to be able to solve one painful problem well. One of my clients, Emma, she loves clearing up messes. She's taken a compliance offering and turned it into something with advisory within it, and charges really good money for a 3-month messy, I can't remember what she called it, something mess, clearing up your mess program. And she is selling that. And then people move into ongoing advisory after. What we need to understand is that clients want progress, not perfection. So when you're selling advisory, don't go, oh, I can be your advisor. We have to go, what is one problem I can solve? How do I serve that really well? And how can I make sure that my clients progress when I am offering that advisory offer? So we need to make sure that we keep it simple, and we need to make sure that people understand what it is that they're buying. I can guarantee now, if you have on your website business advisor, people aren't going to understand what that is. All right. So your job is to be able to describe clearly, without complexity, how you help people. And business advisor, that language isn't something that your clients actually understand. So what we want to do is get really clear on one client type and one main problem. We need a clear outcome that they care about, not that you care about. You might want them to have 0 up to scratch. You might want them to be really clean on QuickBooks. You need to have something that they want to buy, not what they need. If you sell them something that's compliance-based, you will find that that's what they need, not what they want. They're going to question you on price. They're not going to enjoy that relationship with you. So what we do is we have a simple structure that guides them to an outcome that they want. One ideal client, one main problem, one transformation. Same process for every single client. It's easy to explain, easy to sell, and easy to deliver. So there's 5 steps to building your advisory side hustle. The first step is you do not need a complicated business plan. You need a clear, repeatable path, and you need to make sure that you fit it around your current work. So you have to choose the right type of advisory. Now, when I talk about the right type, I'm not talking about fractional CFO work. I'm not talking about the fact that you need to be hired for 3 days a week to go and work in a business, because that's actually just having another job, and that's doing a lot of the grunt work. You're not doing the work for them when we talk about side hustle advisory. What we're talking about is guiding the business owner and the business so that they can have that great outcome that they were looking for. So CFO advisory, so if you're looking at it that way, it kind of looks like monthly meetings with the owner, 2 to 4 hours per client per month max, focusing on decisions, not on you doing the data entry, and you staying in your zone of genius. Now, I have helped over 800 accountants and bookkeepers create signature methodologies that are completely unique to every single one of them. And the reason why is because we focus on your zone of genius. And you might be sitting here going, I don't know what my zone of genius is. And that's okay, because we can actually uncover your zone of genius by downloading all of your intellectual property. And it's not as difficult as you think it should be. It just takes a little bit of thinking and a little bit of a process to actually uncover that. So when we offer advisory, we're looking for a sweet spot of business size, not the business owners that have 10, 20, 30 million, because that then becomes CFO, fractional CFO work. We're looking for small business owners around 1 to 2 million in revenue, can be as little as 500 and could go up to 5 million, depending on your expertise. They have a lot of activity going on in their business, but they're super overwhelmed. And I love this picture that kind of describes the ideal client, because this is me, right? My dog is fast asleep next to me. A lot of the time, especially if I'm not sat at my desk and I'm sat on the sofa with my computer, the dog is sat on my lap, right? This is your idea of a really good ideal client for you. So they understand they want freedom. They don't necessarily have a massive office with a huge, massive team that is exhausting for them, but they are growing something that's very purposeful. But they also want that work-life balance, okay? They need direction. They don't need a management report sent through in the email. How many of you go, oh, I offer advisory, I do management reports, and then send a management report through and go, oh, enjoy reading through that. Let me know if you need any feedback, all right? They actually want someone in their corner. They want someone that gets them and actually looks at their accounts. So this works really well because the income is brilliant. So if you just want 3 clients, once we've uncovered your intellectual property and we've got really clear on your zone of genius and how you help people, we can go and get 3 clients. They might pay you 2,000 a month, might be less, might be 1,000, might be more, might be 6,000. I've got one client who is a CFO who does CFO advisory. She specializes in helping non-profits. She's based over in the States, called Karen, and she charges 6,000 a month for her CFO advisory work. That's 72,000 a year if you can bring in 6,000 a month, okay? All from a handful of hours each month. That's not many. If you were doing 2 hours per client, you would be getting 6,000 for 6 hours work. That's it. 6,000, that's £1,000 an hour. Right now, you're probably charging anywhere between 50 and 150. Anything less than that makes me really sad. And anything more than that, if you're charging by the hour, I bet you get pushback on it, all right? So what we do is we add these clients without quitting. So it fits around your current work. You don't need to burn bridges. You build something before you change anything, and safety and growth can coexist. The second step is to have a system, not a side gig. I know I'm talking about a side hustle, but we need to have a system in place. So systems matter because without systems, you buy yourself another job. Nobody wants another job. You've already got a job. If you've got 10, 20, 30 clients, you've got 30 jobs, okay? When we have systems in place, we build something scalable and something we can step back from later. So I like to talk a lot about the compliance profit paradox, which is when you set up a compliance firm, you're like, hey, do you know what? I'm going to sell this one day. I'm just going to get lots and lots of clients. I'm going to grow my revenue. But what happens when you set up a traditional accounting firm with the traditional model selling something that people need, not want, is that you grow your revenue, but as your revenue grows, your costs grow. As your costs grow, your time you have to put in more time. You know, you started off wanting freedom and now you work 40, 50, 60 hours a week, but your profit doesn't really grow with that because your team and software is growing more and more and more. So your profit kind of stagnates and sometimes even goes down the more you grow and scale. But there's a freedom practice model, which is what I talk about. That's where your revenue grows, your profit grows, your time isn't growing because you don't have to invest loads and loads of time per client, and your costs are really minimal because you don't have a great big team and you don't need loads of software. So freedom practice model is the one that you need to have. We do it as a side hustle to prove it works, and then we start to take down the compliance work and take up the advisory work if that's what you want. We have it productized. We don't have it custom every time. We have the same structure for every single client, the same meeting rhythm, the same tools and dashboards, no reinventing the wheel. Can you imagine, right? You want to get an advisory client. You wouldn't be here if you didn't. And if you knew that on a Tuesday at 2 o'clock, it's Tuesday today, 2 o'clock, don't have it at 2 o'clock because you want to come to my webinars. But let's say at 3 o'clock on a Tuesday, you have a client every other week, and it's the same client, and you know what you're doing with that client for the next 12 months because you have put a productized process in place. You have your signature methodology. You have sold them an outcome. You know exactly what you're doing every single week at the same time, every other week at the same time. They have put in their diary that they're speaking to you every Tuesday for the next 12 months at 3 o'clock. You've got it in yours, and you know exactly how it's going to work. Can you imagine what that relationship would be like in comparison to winging it and going, oh, let's have a conversation. Oh, when are we going to speak next? Oh, well, let's speak in 6 weeks because you've got a lot to do in the next 6 weeks, right? So this is why we have to have the same tools and dashboard. We have to take our clients on the same journey, and we don't reinvent the wheel every single time. Now, this is also designed to be delegatable. That's a good word. It's also designed so you can delegate it. That's better. Okay. Data prep can be outsourced. Admin can be automated. You can stay focused on thinking and advising. Now, just to throw a spanner in the works, advisory isn't very much advising. It's a lot of question asking. And I teach how to ask those questions in my new book, actually. I haven't got the link for it, but my new book literally went to my clients today. It's just got ready. It's going to be coming out on Amazon in a couple of weeks. So I'm very excited. It's ready. It's signed off. Oh my gosh, it's going to be so exciting. What happens is when you have something that you can ask questions around, I share the questions in that book that you can ask people and the 3 conversations you should be having with clients to help them with advisory. What happens is your energy and your time gets protected, and you give your clients a tool so that they can go fishing. So you will have heard me say something like, give your clients, teach your clients to fish, not give your clients a fish, right? So you have to teach your clients how to actually give themselves their own thinking tools and their own advice and be able to run their business from a confident place. So that means that you don't have to give them all the answers. You can ask them to come up with their own answers and teach them how to actually run their business, which is very exciting. So what we end up doing is we end up building an asset, not a prison. And sadly, the traditional compliance firm is a prison because you built it because you thought you might be able to sell it one day. Now people aren't selling for what they used to be able to sell. So you don't make loads of money when you sell an accountancy firm. There might be one in 100 that has good money when they sell it. And you've built yourself a bit of a prison when you build a traditional firm. So what we want to do is build an asset. So you're not creating more work, you're creating leverage. We call it leveraged advisory. It should feel lighter, not heavier for you. I love my conversations with my clients because I have the brain space to enjoy them. The majority of you don't have the brain space to do advisory because you've built yourself a prison with the compliance business. And this is the goal from day one, to build the asset that you enjoy working in. Step 3 is once we've decided how we're helping, who we're helping, and the transformation we're going to give, we need to make sure that we have the systems in place, and then we start getting leads. So we stop selling finance stuff because that's what people need, not what people want. Okay, so people don't want to buy forecasting. They don't want the management reports. They don't want ratios. They don't want any of that. They want to buy an outcome. So we actually have to sell what people want. They want more cash in the bank. They want fewer nasty surprises. They want better decisions. They want someone that helps them sleep at night. When you sell results, what people want, they will pay you handsomely for it. When you sell someone what they need, they will question you on price because they need it. They don't want it. So we have to talk about the offer. We talk about making sure they don't make mistakes, improving profits and cash flow, being their financial co-pilot so they feel safe and secure. Remember, as we go up the emotional guidance scale, we want to be selling the emotions that are in the top half of the client emotion scale, right? Not monthly reporting and analysis, because that's at the bottom that people don't want to buy. They need to buy it. So for your first lead target, what I want you to do is aim for 6 real conversations. Now, this isn't about posting on LinkedIn. This isn't about getting a Facebook group or starting a podcast or writing a book. All of those are great, by the way, but not for your first client. To get your first client, you need to have conversations, and you need to have 6 real conversations in 90 days. We don't need hundreds of followers. We just need to be talking to the right people. And you probably already know the right people. The right people might be in your compliance clients. However, remember, they bought from you because they needed to, not because they wanted to. So their mindset might not be in the right mindset to buy advisory. All right. You need a handful of buyers. You don't need to become TikTok famous at all. And quiet confidence beats loud marketing. So important to understand. You do not need to be dancing on TikTok to get clients. It's not needed. What you need is the right language that makes an opportunity, someone who is interested in what you want to sell and what they want to buy, make them go, oh my gosh, you understand me. I've got that problem. I want what you're offering. Want, not need. What you're offering, help. That's what you want to happen. All right. Then we take those leads and turn them into clients. So here's the conversion maths for you. 6 leads should equal 3 clients. 6,000 a month in 90 days. It's not complicated. It all starts with who's your ideal client? How are you going to help them? What's the processes? What's the systems? You have to make sure that people can understand. Here in the UK, I don't know if you had it in the States, but we used to say Ronseal. It does exactly what it says on the tin, right? And that's what your offer needs to have on it. So what is it that you're helping them with? What's the transformation? Not, I'm going to help you with cash flow. Nobody cares about that. What's the transformation? Cash flow is a tactic to help them achieve a certain outcome. Okay. Who is it for? What problem it solves, and how much it costs. And the reason why we have to make it Ronseal clear is because people buy what they understand. Confusion absolutely kills momentum. If you didn't understand what I was talking about today, you'd all be logging off, right? You'd be like, I'm out. Clear offers enable you to build confidence because you know what it is you're talking about. You're confidently standing behind the offer that you're creating, and it's great for you and for the client. If someone is confused, they will not buy. A confused prospect will not buy, guaranteed. So we need to make sure that we have a very focused sales conversation when we're talking to them. So what we do is we diagnose the problem that they have, and we show them the cost of staying stuck, and we present the solution and invite them to move forward. A little bit like I've done with today's webinar. Now, I know this isn't a sales conversation, but I have diagnosed the problem. And the problem is we're in the grudge economy, and three forces have made the grudge economy come out. Okay, which is the AI and automation, it's the offshoring and outsourcing, and it's the commoditization. So now we have the grudge economy completely visible. People don't want to buy what they need, they want to buy what they want. That's the problem you've got. Then we show you the cost of staying stuck. Well, if you do that, your price is going to get driven down. That's exactly what I did at the beginning of this webinar. All right, so hopefully you're learning through me teaching, which is actually a really good way for you to learn. Okay, then you present the solution and invite them to move forward. Selling is about guiding and not pushing people into buying something from you. We're not here to convince people to buy, because if you're trying to convince people to buy, they then have buyer's remorse. I don't know if you've ever invested in something and then gone, oh, I wish I hadn't spent that money. One of the things that I do when people have sales conversations with me is they actually have 5 days to make the decision about whether or not they want to work with me, which stops all buyer's remorse, because you get to sleep on it, you get to analyze it, you get to think about it. So what we want to do is get your clients to decide, and you help them make a decision just for them. And it makes it much, much nicer to start the relationship, because advisory is a relationship-based relationship. I know that sounds really funny, but compliance isn't a relationship-based relationship. Compliance is a transaction. When we have a relationship as an advisor, that's all about being trusted. So you go from transactional to transformational, and you can't transform anyone's life if they don't trust you. All right. It's not about having an awkward conversation to say, hey, buy my stuff and I'll throw in some steak knives and I'll give you this discount and I'll add this in. We never, ever want to sell. We're not on QVC here trying to get people to buy from us. What we're trying to do is build trust through the sales process. And then step 5 is all about you choosing your path. So path 1 is you can keep it as a side income. So say you get 3 clients paying you 2K a month, you've got another 72K a year coming in. You don't have to change your main work. You have breathing room financially that can all go to you. Well, give or take the taxman's bit and a bit of VAT, and you get way more options on the table. Path 2 is you can go all in. You can scale it to 250 or 500K a year. You can still have low delivery hours. As I said, I've learned to scale my advisory, and I know I'm not an accountant or a bookkeeper, but the way that I teach you to do it is exactly the same way that I do it. You just have slightly different conversations. Yours is more around what's happening in their numbers. Mine is around the productizing, pricing, and positioning. Okay, but the outcomes are different, but the process is the same. You build a monster business. No, you don't. You build a freedom practice, not a monster business. Okay. And then path 3 is you just add it to your existing practice. So you can have a high margin service that you can sell to your right clients, the ideal clients. You can have better client retention, because when you're transforming someone's world, they're not going to leave you on price. I remember, I think it was James Ashford that said, when you buy on price, you leave on price. And what we want to do is not have anyone buy on price. We want people to actually buy because they want the transformation that we can offer them. And we can't offer them a transformation until we've unloaded all of your experience and your education and who you are. And then we take that and put it into a productized offering that people can buy. It makes you have much stronger positioning in the marketplace. It means that you can charge way more for your services and you can have more predictable income. Now, you don't have to decide which one of those you want today. What you can do is build capability. Then you can choose a direction, whether it's option A, B, or C. Then options come from action. So one thing that I know to be true, if I am ever stuck, I have to take action. All right. So say, I don't know what to have for dinner, right? Say I'm sat here and I'm like, oh, I don't know what to have for dinner. Well, I can think about it, but I don't actually know what my options are. So the best thing for me to do is get up and either go and look in the fridge or bring out a recipe book or Google or ask ChatGPT, give me 10 dinner ideas. And it's only through taking action that we are going to be able to see the options in front of us. It doesn't come from overthinking. And if I was to sit here, I don't know why I'm talking about dinner, but if I was to sit here and go, what is it that I need for dinner? I probably wouldn't be able to come up with anything because all I can imagine is the same things that I've had all week, right? And I don't want leftover Chinese from Friday. It's a bit late now. It's Tuesday. Don't eat leftover Chinese because that is an option. But anyway, I digress. Okay, so why this model works well as a side hustle? Well, it's perfect because you can start small. So you can have low time requirement. You're only having conversations with people. You're not actually dancing on TikTok. Remember I said don't dance on TikTok? You have high income per client. So it means that you have really good profits in this. You're going to build your confidence fast. Once you get one client, the moment they get a win, your confidence is going to go through the roof and it's going to create proof quickly because the moment they get a win, there's a testimonial and there you go. You can go and get another client. Now, from side hustle to serious asset, you can do that very easily because you have the systems already in place, clients already paying you, you have a brand already forming, even though you haven't purposely built a brand, and the transition becomes really easy. Now, if you want help building this properly, you don't need to guess. There is a proven framework. Surprise, surprise. This is why I want you to have a proven framework, because even things like running a webinar becomes really easy when you have a methodology and you know what you're talking about and you've uncovered, your expertise and how you help people and what you're really good at and your zone of genius, right? I didn't realize that I was sitting on my zone of genius for way too long and I was hiding it under like this big mound of crap. That's a horrible thing to say, right? So I started my career back when I was 18 years old. I started working in banking and I hated it. So after 6 months, I moved into marketing. So I've always thought I was a marketer. But what happened about 15 years ago is I launched my own business and it helped people with marketing and sales. And what I realized very, very quickly is that whilst I was really good at marketing and sales, what I loved helping people with was creating offers and products and services and uncovering their genius and helping them get clarity and really helping them come up with something that they could take to market. But you know what I did? I didn't sell that. I carried on selling marketing and sales, and I was giving away my expertise for free. Oh, the irony. Oh, the irony, right? I created my own monster business. And it was really interesting because I actually had all these proven frameworks. And when I decided to lean into helping people with productizing, packaging, and pricing, I had a lot of imposter syndrome. Even though I had been doing it, I'd been giving it away for free. And because I'd been giving it away for free, I didn't really value that arm of my business. So what you have to do is you have to uncover everything you've been giving away for free and package it and position it so that you can see the value and you can feel that confidence to take it to market. I don't know if that resonates at all. I've never told anyone before. I didn't know I was going to say that on today's webinar, right? The way that I run my webinars is that every single webinar is different, even though the frameworks can be quite similar. I have like 4 webinars I do. I do one every week for 4 weeks and then start again. But every single time I do one is completely different because I have different stories and different tales and different experiences in that time. Great example is I had Chinese on Friday and I did see it in the fridge at lunchtime, which is why I spoke about it, which is why everything's different. I pick different parts out of it, but I have a proven framework and I talk around that proven framework. So whilst my webinars are productized, how I deliver them depends on who's in the room, how I show up. And I suppose really what I'm trying to say here is I'm educating you and giving you examples by using myself as the example. Okay. So what I'd like to do now is share with you how our clients achieve this and so much more, because a lot of my clients decide to do a side hustle, but they end up making it their full-time gig. So the thing that I help you have is higher revenue, fewer clients. It's the productized freedom practice. And another way to call it is the 10-hour advisor. So what we have to do is get very, very clear on your advisory model. So to do that, we have to make sure that we understand your ideal market. We have to have a productized method and have a high value offer. Now, if we don't know what it is we are selling, if we don't have clarity, we can't sell it. So we give it away for free because we haven't uncovered the value. But when you have created your advisory offer, you uncover that value and you go, never again am I going to give this stuff away. It's almost like you get angry. So when I first start working with my clients, I want them to be angry about how much they've given away, because then they start to see the value and then they can charge 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 grand a month for their services. Once you've done that, the thing that you need to do is make sure that you have an audience to sell to. So you have to fill your pipeline. We have to build that content machine, but that's very easy once you know exactly how you help people. How can you know what content to put out there if you don't know who your ideal client is, if you don't know what you're selling, if you don't know what the offer is, and you don't know the transformation you give your clients? So when you put "we offer advisory services" on your website, or you've put that on your LinkedIn, how can you do that if you haven't done the work at the beginning? It's going to be fluffy and people are going to ignore it. So what happens when we fill the pipeline and build the content machine off the back of creating everything that you need to have in place to have your advisory side hustle? You sign premium clients with ease because they come to you pre-sold. Then what we do is we move into delivery. And this is where you have to become the advisor. This is about the first 100 days that you actually onboard a client so they don't have buyer's remorse. Now, there's a story about the first 100 days for the president, right, in the States. So when you get the presidency, they have 100 days to start implementing some of the things they promised to implement and make a good impression. Those first 100 days decides whether or not they're going to be there for the full term of office, whether it's going to be 4 years or whether it's going to be 8 years, right? And what we need to understand is that's exactly the same for us. So what I like to do is get you guys to move into becoming the advisor and have the first 100 days completely tied down so you get great wins for your clients, and then you can have an amazing relationship with them that lasts years and years and years. Then, as we're doing that, we deploy the operating system. Sanjeev, if you've got any questions, please put them in the chat box. Absolutely put them in the chat box. And if anyone else has any questions, please do put them in the chat box. Okay, then we deploy the advisory operating system. And this is all about you having strategies, tactics, and tools. Okay, so I'm very briefly going to touch on this, but we have to have strategies that we help our clients achieve. Then we have tactics that enable these strategies to be implemented. And then we have the tools that enable our tactics to be implemented. So our advisory operating system always has strategies, tactics, and tools. Now, some of you might think that Xero is a tactic. It's not, it's a tool. Some of you might think that Profit First is a tactic. It's not, it's a tool. Profit First is a tool. What it helps you do is allocate money into different bank accounts so that you can cover your VAT, cover your corporation tax, cover your OPEX, and create a profit. Okay, so that's the tactic, which is create profit first. Okay, the tool is Profit First, and the strategy is making sure that you can pay your bills and have loads of money, right? Become wealthy, whatever it is that you want to call that strategy. And then we expand your advisory offering out once we've got one proven advisory offering working. Okay. So out of those, I'd like you just to have a think. How much of that have you got in place? All right. How much of that have you got in place? So Emma, Jonathan, Lee, Linda, how you doing, Linda? Mark, Roland, Sanjeev, Stephanie, how much of that have you got in place? So there's 9 strategies there. They're all separate strategies. There are tactics and tools underneath all of those. How do you feel that you have absolutely smashed creating your advisory offer? Out of 10, how much do you think that is? And you can either share with me privately or you can share with yourself, right? Just have a think about it. If you want an advisory side hustle, you have to have a 10 out of 10 for that. If you want to be able to sell your advisory side hustle, you have to have 10 out of 10 for sale. And if you want to deliver it so that clients stay with you a long time, you have to have a 10 out of 10. Now, here's the funny thing. I ask my accountants as we go through all of this, because I run an implementation program. As I go through all of this with my clients, I say, how many out of 10 do you feel you are? The majority of you will say 9. A lot of the time, that's because you're conservative and you're accountants. All right. So I'm happy with an 8 or 9 out of 10. That means that you've got it in place. That's what I'm happy with. So for those of you who have found today interesting and you would like to implement this and get your first 3 clients, I run a done with you advisory program. It's actually an implementation program. I only work with 6 to 8 people at a time. It's very scalable, but it's also very intimate, and I work very closely with you. I speak to you twice a week on a Tuesday and on a Wednesday, depending whether or not you're in the States. It would just be on a Wednesday. If you're in Australia, it would just be on a Tuesday, just because of the time difference. We have one at the beginning of the day, one at the end of the day. And I show you step by step how to build, position, and sell a productized advisory service. So if that is of interest to you, what I would like to do is actually invite you to join me. So we're looking at growing your practice and increasing your income. We're not looking at growing your team. We're not looking at growing your pain and your hours. We're looking at increasing your personal income, or your profits if you want to leave it in the business, but your personal income. So it's without taking on more clients, without working longer hours or expanding your team. It also comes with a guarantee. And if you follow the process, you'll secure at least 3 advisory clients within 6 months of creating your productized model, or you get your money back. It isn't about spending money to learn more. It's just about installing a business model that compounds. So remember I said 3 advisory clients add 72K a year to your practice. If $2,000 a month feels way out of your comfort zone, halve it. Do it $1,000 a month for the first client, $1,250 for the second client, $1,500 for the third client, and slowly put your prices up as your confidence grows. As I say, this is an implementation program. It's not one of those big group coaching programs where you don't get me and you don't get my support. I work with you, the person, as much as your business brain. Okay. Now, the investment for the program is deliberately small compared to the long-term value it creates. Great examples of that is I had somebody come to me and they're an accountant. It was back in 2019. They had revenue of 200K. Within a year, we had tipped it over $1 million. I then, I can't give you his name, but yeah. Then I had Jessica, can't give you Jessica's name. Jessica came to me at 200K revenue. Within 18 months, we'd added another 500K. And then within 2.5, 3 years, we were on track for 2 million. All right. Now, these are big numbers. We're just talking about a side hustle. Okay. So I know it's 100% doable. Kevin, on the other hand, has 16 clients paying him $2,000 a month, but he finishes work at 3 o'clock every single day. So you can have this side hustle. He doesn't do really very much compliance work anymore. I think he only has those clients and does their compliance work. He doesn't have a big team. I don't even know if he does have a team, actually. I don't think he does. And he's really happy. Like, he completely transformed his entire life and he's got 2 girls and he picks them up from school every single day, apart from in August, right? So huge proven track record of success. I've got 5 successful exits now. By the way, I've just got 1 more client who is in the process of exiting. So over 47 million, all of these are over now because this is an old slide, 300 6-figure clients, 7 millionaire clients, and 5 successful exits. So the way that it works is you join the program, you pick a niche, you define the problem that you solve, that transformation. We get clear on an advisory offer. We create your signature methodology. We productize it. We launch and sell your productized advisory program. You attract and convert premium clients without dancing on TikTok. Nobody likes dancing on TikTok. And you get your time back whilst taking home more money.